Today was day 2 in Brian Walshe's trial, and for most of the day, we had Nicholas Garino on the stand. You all will remember Trooper Garino from the Karen retrial. He is one of the digital forensic experts. He downloads the phones and the iPads to determine what exactly was going on, all the activity, all the Google searches. So we've been hearing a lot about Google searches, and today was the day if you wanted to hear all of the different Google searches that Brian Walshe did. We're going to be covering that and, of course, showing you some of the clips that were from the more interesting parts of the testimony today. Before we do, I want to remind everybody that I am still scheduled to play in an ice hockey tournament to benefit a very special charity. The charity is called RCCS. They help families that are stricken with cancer, and I need to raise a certain amount of money in order to play in that tournament. So the link is in the description. Whatever amount you can give is going to go to a very, very good cause. All right, let's move on to what happened today in day 2. So we continued with Officer Schmidt, who was on the stand already for yesterday for most of the day, and we were continuing today with some of the interviews that he conducted of Brian Walshe. So from the most important part was this, in my opinion. This was the most important part of his testimony. So let's play it for you, and we'll see what he discovered, which is not during the interviews. We heard a lot of the interviews, a lot of the lies that Brian Walshe was saying, and admittedly that he lied about what happened to Anna. But this was also discovered throughout the course of his investigation. He is the lead investigator, and he's not afraid to admit it. Maybe something also that you may be seeing differently in this trial than we did when we heard in the Karen Reed case. All right, so take a listen and take a look at what he also investigated.
Sergeant, what is this?
That is a picture of the defendant's thumb.
And if the Commonwealth could publish Exhibit 49, which is file number 7701, also previously marked from yesterday, Your Honor. And Sergeant, what is this?
That is the picture of the defendant's thumb, and you can see the blue tile from the booking room floor in the background.
Ms. Gilman, if you could take that down. Now,
so there's a thumb with a cut. Brian Walshe's thumb had a cut on it, and that would be for the reason that he was at work with his thumb cutting up and dismembering his wife. That was the suggestion there, although the prosecutor didn't bring that out yet, but I'm sure he'll talk about that during closing. Let's move on to see what else he discovered.
Sergeant, what did you do on January 9th in this matter?
I went to 300 Forest Street in Peabody.
And about what time did you get to 300 Forest Street in Peabody?
Around dusk.
And why were you there?
We had collected 2 dumpsters from the apartment complex at 330 Paradise Road. Those were transported to a transfer, like a trash transfer station in Peabody for examination.
And so what were you doing? Well,
so this was the dumpster. Remember, they're talking about some of the dumpsters, and we're going to see what he found in the dumpster.
When you got to Peabody, about what time was it?
I was right around the beginning of dark.
And who was there?
Myself, Detective Lieutenant Lopes, Lieutenant Tully, members of the CERT team, and other troopers.
And Lieutenant Tully, he's with the state police, and opposed to Detective Lieutenant Lopes with Cohasset.
Correct.
Okay.
And of course, we do want to give a nice shout out and thank you to Court TV for the streaming of this trial, so we're able to play these clips for you. Thank you, Court TV.
And so what were these state troopers doing? Not Lieutenant Tully, but the other ones you just mentioned.
It's a big warehouse with trash lining on the walls. We had dumped the contents of the dumpsters in the warehouse, and we began searching the bags, bag by bag.
And why were you doing? So what would you do with the bags when you searched them bag by bag?
The contents of the bags were opened. It was spread out on the ground. We'd look at the contents, see if it was important. If it was, those were moved to like a tarp or plastic or paper sheeting where they could be documented, photographed, collected as evidence.
If the Commonwealth could publish Exhibit 50 from yesterday, Your Honor, which would be file number HAS 7025.
Me.
Sir, directing your attention, what is this?
This is plastic sheeting.
And can you see yourself in this photograph at all?
I can see my feet.
Where are your feet located?
At the top of the frame.
And if you could just tell us like what you're wearing for footwear?
Brown leather boots and gray pants.
And if the Commonwealth could have Exhibit 51, which is file number 6810. So, Sergeant, what are we looking at here as far as the process that you were describing?
So this is right when one of the bags was opened for examination. The contents was dumped out so we could look at it.
And if we could go to Exhibit 52, which is file 6867. Now, what are we looking at here in relation to the previous photograph?
Those are the contents moved to like tarp and plastic and paper sheeting so they could be further examined.
And the boots, do you know what brand those are?
Hunter boots.
And Ms. Gilman, is it possible to zoom in on the white piece of paper underneath the purse? Sergeant, did you see that white piece of paper that night?
I did.
What was that?
That's a COVID-19 vaccination card with the name Anna Walshe on it.
If you could close out of that.
All right, well, there you go. You see in the trash was recovered Anna Walshe's boots, with seems to be some of her other clothing and possessions, including a COVID vaccine card that used to be required, carrying that around. And that had Anna Walshe's name on it. So very clearly from Anna Walshe, which what they discovered in those dumpsters. All right, remember, now the defense is not going to dispute this. It looks like the defense is not going to dispute it at all. They're just going to say that Brian Walshe dismembered her, but did not kill her. She was already dead because of sudden, unexplained death. But still, the prosecution is building its case. Now, some other things that Officer Schmidt testified to before he left the stand today was that he did a search of all of the credit cards and showing that there's only recurring payments that were already previously set up that continued to appear in the credit card statements, nothing else, and also showing the Fidelity accounts, the investment accounts, one at $94,000 and another statement of a Fidelity account at $118,000. So over $200,000 in investment accounts that Anna Walshe owned. All right, so moving on to cross-examination. So in cross-examination, Attorney Tipton made a point of pointing out that the records don't show that any withdrawals were made by Brian Walshe from those Fidelity accounts. So, he didn't take action right away to start withdrawing the money if that was the motive. Also, you didn't find those records in the possession of Mr. Walshe. Like, it wasn't like he was holding on to those and getting ready to do something with them. That was the suggestion there. Also, he said that when you did find out about the searches, he appeared to be sad, or that he was caught, or sad that he was something, but he was sad. Also, he has no idea how the cuts happened to his thumb. I mean, I should say cut. How did that cut happen to his thumb? He has no idea. Of course, no, he has no idea. All he knows is that he had that cut. And the rest, you can make the inference yourself. Now, he also pointed out this hole in the ceiling. And there was a hole in the ceiling that with some of the roof that was missing. And some of the other stuff that was missing. So he made a point of pointing that out. Also, there were some bags in the basement that he located. Also, he concentrated on the difference between an iMessage and iMessenger, seeming to suggest that there's a difference between the Facebook Messenger as opposed to iMessages. And a lot of the point here that the defense is going to be trying to show is that Brian Walshe did not know about the affair that was happening between Anna Walshe and William Fastow. So that's why they're bringing that up to perhaps make some sort of argument, a closing argument, that maybe Brian Walshe said something about messenger or messages as opposed to whichever one. Seems like the iMessages would probably be more what they were talking, Anna Walshe and William Fastow, but we haven't seen that yet because William Fastow seems to be prepared to take the stand on Thursday. So we haven't heard from him quite yet, and we haven't seen these messages or whether it's with Facebook Messenger or messages, but that's what seems like Tipton's trying to bring out, that there's a difference between messages and messenger, and we'll see exactly how that works with what Brian Walshe actually said or knew about, whether he knew about this affair or not. Also, he said that there was no evidence that Brian Walshe saw the text messages between Anna Walshe and Fastow. He asked him, do you know whether he saw it? Of course, his answer is going to be no, I don't know for sure that he saw it. We're going to hear that perhaps he had access to it, but they don't know for sure that he actually saw it. And that's going to be an inference that they're going to be asking, the prosecution is going to be asking the jury to make, that, well, if he had access to it, and then this is what happens afterwards, he probably found out what was going on. All right, now also he made another suggestion here, and that was that one of the colleagues, one of Officer Schmidt's colleagues, said to Brian Walshe that while they were interviewing him at certain points, he said something about, people aren't going to believe you that you had nothing to do with this. And people are going to suspect him. Now, the reason why I believe he's pointing that out is he wants to show, remember what he said in opening statement, that his theory of the case, at least, is that Brian Walshe had no idea how his wife died. And he just thought to himself that no one's going to believe him, that he had nothing to do with it. So now you're getting confirmation from that feeling by the Officer Schmidt's colleague saying that no one's going to believe you. So it's just bringing confirmation back to what his theory of the case is, that really Brian Walshe acted this way because he just didn't believe that anyone's going to believe him, that he had nothing to do with it. Okay, so so that was the extent of the cross-examination. So then we had Nicholas Garino take the stand, and a lot was discussed. First, of course, background and training and all that good stuff, and then getting into the actual devices. There's a number of different devices in this case, and what was used to search different terms. And there's a lot of Google searches, a lot. It wasn't just like 5 or 10 that you've been hearing in the news and media, perhaps. There's a lot of Google searches. And if you want to get a list of all of them, you can go back and watch the hour and a half or so where they're going through all the Google searches that he did. But suffice it to say that the Google searches surrounded the idea of divorce, surrounded the idea of my wife's missing, what should I do? Can the FBI access your phone? Does dishwasher clean blood? How to dismember a body, how to remove SIM cards, how to remove a hard drive from an Apple device, how to saw a body, hacksaw, best tool to dismember a body. These type of searches, all about dismembering bodies, all about getting away with murder. Those type of searches were done. And again, not paraphrasing, I am paraphrasing exactly what the terminology was used for all these different Google searches. But the point is that they all surround these areas. Now then it got into a part that you probably haven't heard even if you've been following this case. So this is the part where kind of surprised few people hearing about some of these Google searches that were done. So let's pull it up here. Give me 1 minute. Oh, actually, you know what? Before we even get into this, before we get into the next searches that he did, he searched a certain person's name. Okay. And the person is a fellow named Patrick Kearney. Patrick Kearney, for some of you who don't know, was called the trash bag killer. He's also called the freeway killer. He's an American serial killer. I'm reading right from Wikipedia right now, who assaulted and murdered a minimum, and this is according to Wikipedia, 28 young men and boys in Southern California between 1962 and 1977. He would disembowel them and dismember them, and he would frequently wrap his victims' severed limbs in trash bags and scatter them in various locations, mainly along state highways. In 1978, Kearney pleaded guilty to 21 counts of murder and was sentenced to 21 consecutive life sentences. So that is who he was searching. He was searching for this serial killer, this piece of trash himself, Patrick Kearney. And he is currently, according to Wikipedia, from the last that they know, he's still alive and serving his life sentences in California, one of the jails in California. See if I can get the exact one. But yeah, I mean, and he would go and purchase butcher knives. Really, really gruesome stuff. And I'm not even going to get into all the details of what this animal did. But if you want, you can go look it up. But the point is that Brian Walshe searched for Patrick Kearney and perhaps was researching what he did in order to learn how to do these type of things, unfortunately. So that was another search. Okay, now let's get to another search that you probably haven't heard of before. So let's pull this up. This is, give me a moment. Let's get there. All right.
Can you tell me the title being looked at?
Yeah, it says cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. Scarlet Scandal, Seth Gamble, Erotica X-Pornhub.com.
And what is the date and time?
12/27/2022, 12:06:28 a.m.
And this continues.
So that was a search that was done on December 27th. Okay, that was a couple days before. And he's searching on this inappropriate website, which I don't want to suggest to you, but he was searching about cheating wives.
He was on record 8/26. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a duplicate from the previous.
Okay. And 8/27. Could you go down, Ms. Gilman? Could you go down, please?
Yep. It's there. It's the titles on the, right there at the top.
Okay. If you could keep going down, though, please. Okay. And if you could tell me, if you could keep going down, I'm sorry, to 828. And what is this?
It says chat with Miss_B in a live adult video chat room now.
And what time is that?
12:06:28 a.m. on January 27th. Excuse me, December 27th, 2022.
Okay, so that's where he was looking around 12:27. And the reason probably that they brought that up was to show that he had some sort of idea about cheating wives. Maybe he found this out already at 12:20 on December 27th. And that's perhaps maybe when he started to think about his plan about what he was going to do with his cheating wife. So that is another interesting search that we heard about. And then also, after that search, he was also searching different things about divorce strategies and best state to divorce a wife. And all those divorce searches came on the heels of those searches as well. And this is in December 27th. Now, remember that Attorney Tipton, Mr. Tipton, said in an opening statement that there's a reason, 1227, the reason why they were looking at all these divorce searches was just simply because they had to figure out what to do with all the family assets if he's going to be going into federal prison. And they're just trying to figure out the best planning for their assets. Okay, now that's going to be their defense. That's what he said in opening. And that's also something that he mentioned and focused his cross-examination about, that these divorce searches were done in 1227. He also had a lot of questions about some of those other searches. I'm not sure why he was going down that avenue, but seems that some of the reason why he was going into that is maybe these were some of his favorite actors and actresses that he likes to follow. And it doesn't matter what type of video they're in, he wants to see these actors or actresses. And because they only have a limited amount of days that they searched, maybe they would have found a lot more of those type of searches of these characters and these different types of movies and different types of websites that maybe even predated 1227. Maybe this is going back years. Maybe this is just one of his fetishes. Who knows? And that seems to be some of the suggestion that he was bringing out during his cross-examination. So that was really it today. I mean, there's a lot more Google searches that you can, if you want to know every single detail of the Google searches, you can go ahead and watch a couple hours of the trial today. But I think those were the most important parts. You get the theme, you get the idea of what he was searching. He was doing a lot of searching, and also to see, interesting, the progression of the searches, what he was doing on January 1st, what searches, and then January 2nd and January 3rd. Seems like he was trying to figure it out as he goes along with his dismembering and disposing of the body of Anna Walshe, unfortunately. So that was really what happened today in day 2. So we are going to be back here for day 3, starting tomorrow, 9:30 right here, Brother Counsel Studios. So don't forget to join us tomorrow. Set your alarm. Make sure to wake up early so that you can be ready for 9:30 here for the continuation of Brian Walshe's trial. And we will see you all then. Before you leave, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Don't send any super chats today. If you want to make any sort of donation, hit that link in the description. A very, very, very special organization. Really helps out families that are very much in need and need the support and guidance when families are stricken with cancer. We all have probably friends or family members that have been battling that disease, and it's really terrible what it does to the person and, of course, to the family. So this is an organization that steps in and provides the support that those families need. So any amount is appreciated. Go ahead, hit the link in the description, donate whatever you can. I very much appreciate it, and we will see you next time.